Patrick Peterson. He's on the block.
He's on the block. He's desperately wanting a trade.
It sounds like he is desperate. It sounds like he wants the F out of there. Mm-hmm. And his cousin, Brian McFadden, also former NFL corner, had stated that his ideal situation, ideal landing spot would be the New Orleans Saints. Now, apparently, that there have been 3 teams that have been publicly trying, or not publicly, but publicly reported, are reportedly trying to get Patrick Peterson. And those teams reported were the New Orleans Saints, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New England Patriots. Now, all 3 of these teams have obviously goals, aspirations to getting to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. The Eagles being the least likely to do so based on their record. But I think we've brought this up in the past. There are quite a few teams in the NFL that I think could really use Patrick Peterson, given the landscape in the NFL right now for a lack of NFL talent on defenses and for a lack of defense in the NFL. And for really a lot of contenders, they could use a talented corner like Patrick Peterson. I think those 3 specifically make a lot of sense. Dylan, what are your thoughts so far on the rumors of Patrick Peterson? Do you think a deal is going to get done? Do you think this is likely? Or do you think that this is just a bunch of hogwash?
Well, the Cardinals are stating that they really don't want to trade him, which they're kind of stuck in that situation where it's like, wow, like this sucks. We're going to have to give up this guy because he really wants to get out because they're not very good. All 3 teams are very good options to go. I mean, the Eagles right now are struggling, but in terms of going for a cornerback role, all 3 of them definitely could use a little bit of help there. The reason why I'm leaning to the Saints in getting Patrick Peterson is because he did play at LSU. He has experience in that area. You know, he did play in Louisiana. So I think maybe that's a little bit of why he wants to go there, as he played college there for a while. And yeah, I mean, he's still a great cornerback. He's been to the Pro Bowl 7 times since he got in the league. Every single year he's been a Pro Bowler. And you know, we talked about last year his play wasn't as great, but this year he's playing
I feel like this year he's played better than last year.
Yeah, he's definitely, because we were laughing that he was in the top 100 last year. I think right now you could still put him in that. You could put him in that top 100. We wouldn't be mad about it. It just depends on the ranking.
Especially with the lack of great corners in the league right now. It just seems like there's not a lot of great play at that position right now. And to have a Patrick Peterson or to acquire one would be huge for any team.
And for the Saints, you know, their defense has not been very good. They've struggled. They've given up a lot of points. Their secondary has not been as great as we want them to be. Lattimore had an injury, but he's still, you know, been half and half. With the Patriots, always a nice use for him. I bet Patrick Peterson would definitely be happy with the Patriots going there. But if anything else, I think this is an interesting trade. The Cardinals might not want it to happen, but they might have to do it. I don't know. It just seems like one of the situations that it might have to happen. So if I was going to pick a likely destination, I'm going with the Saints on this one.
I think I would agree with you there. I think the most likely scenario would be the Saints, just because he has basically said he wants to go there. And I think the Saints are a team that, of course, you remember they made that trade for Marcus Davenport in the first round. They've been aggressive in pursuing a Super Bowl. So I think that's something that's interesting in that they would probably go out there and make an aggressive trade for this guy. He's not exactly cheap. I'm just looking up his contract right now. Of course, he's 28 years old. He's been 8 years in the league. He signed a 5-year deal a couple years ago. He has quite a few years left. He has basically this remaining this year, 2019 and 2020 on his current deal. And basically in the next 3 years, he is making 11 million, 11 million, 12 million. So he makes quite a bit of money. I know right now from a Patriot point of view that the Patriots have about like 6 million in cap, but they said that they could, like, the people that do the cap or whatever that tweet and the beat writers said that they could basically configure a way to get that extra money to trade for him. So it is a possibility. I think the Saints are in a similar boat where they don't have a ton of money as well, but I'm sure they could find a way to do that as well. As for the Eagles, I think, the Eagles are definitely a team that need corners. They really are. That's their worst position on their team, arguably, right now. Mills has been bad. Darby, I don't think, has been a success for them. He hasn't been awful. And really, Sidney Jones hasn't been that great either. So they're definitely looking for a player at that position. For the Saints, Lattimore's been a little bit better recently, but definitely not been as good as his rookie season. And losing Patrick Robinson to injury was a big injury for them. And they really don't have a great second corner there. So I feel like if they added Patrick Peterson, that might really, really help their defense. Just give a little bit more balance to each side of the field with Lattimore and Peterson. For the Patriots, I think it would be very compelling because we know what the Patriots have done with two good corners in the past. And I think it would really help their defense, even though I feel like their corner play has been one of the better parts of their defense this year. I really feel that the Patriots would rather upgrade at like linebacker or something like that. But it's interesting because the Patriots did try and basically move around some salary cap for Stephon Gilmore's contract this year into next couple of years in guaranteed money so that they could probably trade for someone at the trade deadline. Whether that's Patrick Peterson or not, it will be interesting. And I think there's a few other teams that haven't been discussed that I feel like should go after Patrick Peterson. I think the Steelers are one of them. I think the Texans are another one. Tyrann Mathieu was a teammate of his. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Steelers, of course, needing corners in general.
Definitely.
I think the Chiefs, especially if the Patriots are in the conversation, they should at least try and get in that conversation because we know how bad their corner play has been and their secondary in general.
Scandrick's.
Sorry?
I said Scandrick's garbage.
Scandrick is garbage. I think I've brought up the Panthers. The Panthers don't usually make bold trades like that, but they could definitely use him. And I think if they did get Patrick Peterson, it would catapult them into, I think, elite team area because I think they really have struggled at that position. And I think that's overall it. I think if Patrick Peterson is going to be traded, it's going to be to a team that knows they're going to make the playoffs, and it's a team that thinks that they can go all the way or at least make a run for it at the Super Bowl. Any other comments on the Patrick Peterson situation, Dylan?
Either team. Here's the thing: any team that's going to get him is going to win. Like they're going to get the benefit of this deal. It's like when Kyrie Irving got traded to the Celtics. They won that trade. And in this scenario, you're getting a guy like Patrick Peterson that's definitely going to help out your defense. A lot of the teams that we talked about, maybe minus, I guess, but most of the teams we talked about really do need that cornerback help. They would be benefited from having a guy like Patrick Peterson. And it'll be interesting to see if it gets it done because right now we got about 8 days until that happens. So I'm interested to see if a deal gets done, but my prediction's still the Saints, but a lot of teams could be out there for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to also see what he goes for, whether it's a second or a third and a fourth or something like that, because he does carry a heavy contract, as we discussed, and he is nearing his 30s. So it'll be interesting. But like Dylan said, you're likely not going to get like a first-round pick or anything like that for him, plus that contract. So it's likely that the team that gets him is going to win the trade. But the Cardinals are looking to rebuild. They're in that real stage of their franchise right now, and Patrick Peterson is looking to win, so he needs to go somewhere where he can win. And if the Cardinals do him a solid, unlike Fitzgerald a few years back, then that would really be big for Patrick Peterson's career. We'll see if anybody gets him and lands him at the trade deadline, but the trade deadline is definitely going to be really interesting. So we'll see where Patrick Peterson ends up.